Are the Boston Bruins looking to trade Trent Frederic? This is a question I've been asking myself a lot lately. So I wanted to do a deep dive into what that would look like and what options are out there. Buckle up, Bruins fans. I'm here to give you the latest info on your beloved Boston Bruins. If you've been liking my Bruins content, please leave me a like and subscribe. If you've already done so, thank you, and let's get into it. Not too long ago, Brad Marchand made a comment about Elliot Friedman from Sportsnet and 32 Thoughts the podcast about Elliot Friedman always talking about him that week. Marchand was referring to Elliot Friedman speaking about a possible contract extension, which still hasn't happened, and was supposedly about to happen at that time. When NHL insiders speak about something, they have sources. It's someone feeding them that information, but when they only mention it once, maybe that source was inaccurate at the time. I'm sure the Bruins are speaking with Marchand's agent, but it's obvious no deal's been done, but I still think it's a foregone conclusion that it will get done. Lately, though, Elliot Friedman has mentioned Trent Frederic's name now on 3 separate occasions. He spoke about him twice on the podcast and now has put it in print about the possibility of the Bruins might move Trent Frederic. He wrote, "Teams who like Trent Frederic and playoff-bound clubs love this type of player, are debating how serious the Bruins are about signing him." Now, this isn't much, but as I said, this is the 3rd time he has mentioned it, and Chris Johnson from TSN has also mentioned Frederic on his trade board. I know I'm not mentioning any US outlets, but from a hockey perspective, it's Canadian outlets that cover the game more and have the majority of inside information that gets people talking. I also think where there's smoke, there's fire with regards to Trent Frederic, and that is my opinion from me looking at what's being said. You can disagree, and I'm welcome to that, so drop your comments down below. It's no secret that Trent Frederic has been struggling. I even thought he could get 20 goals this year because he would be playing up in the lineup, or at least have a chance to, with the departure of Jake DeBrusk. Both of these things hasn't happened and doesn't look to happen this season. Earlier in the season under Montgomery, Frederic was given a couple chances to play up in the lineup, but didn't look good. But at that time, my thought was, well, the whole team looks bad. Before Montgomery was fired, after the 20-game mark, the whole team looked lost and didn't look like a very good team. They had a lot of off-season drama that spilled into the season, and they had a coach that looked like a dead man walking after Game 10, and I think the players knew it. So yes, there was a lot of distractions. In Trent Frederic's first 20 games, he had 3 goals, 3 assists, and was minus 11, and was playing on the 3rd line. In his first 20 games last season, he had 5 goals, 8 assists, and was plus 4, and was playing on the 3rd line. Since Joe Sacco took over at Game 21, the Bruins are 6-3 and look much like the team from last season with regards to putting up numbers in the win column, but look to be playing a style of hockey which you would think would create offense. In Frederic's last 8 games under Sacco, he has 3 assists and has been a plus 2. And if you look at all the players on the team, they've all played better under Sacco's system compared to Montgomery's. You could still say Montgomery shouldn't have been fired, but the numbers don't lie. Bruins are playing better and look more cohesive on the ice than they did under Montgomery at the start of the season. So you look how he's played under Sacco and you see positives, right? Yes. But I also look at the team's needs right now. The Bruins need desperately to replace the scoring they lost with the departure of Jake DeBrusk and Danton Heinen this offseason. Frederic currently plays on the 3rd line and is in the final year of his contract and will become a UFA at the end of the season. He's making $2.3 million per season and most likely looking for a bump in salary and a long-term deal. The Bruins need to ask themselves, though, are they going to sign him long-term or not? Frederic had a career high in goals last season with 18 and finished off the year with 40 points. It's safe to say the Bruins thought he would be able to fill some of the void left by Heinen and DeBrusk. He is on pace right now for 9 goals this season, which is a big yikes right away when looking at his career numbers. Frederic brings size, strong forecheck, and sometimes can score, and a lot of teams need that on their roster. The Bruins right now need scoring and some speed and skill to go with the size and strong forecheck they have an abundance of. Based on his play and the team's need, I think you sell high on Frederic and try and make a hockey trade. What I mean by a hockey trade is you move Frederic for what your team needs to a team that needs what he brings. It also means there is zero urgency to move Frederic right now, but you'd be doing yourself a disservice if you didn't look at the market for your pending UFA. As of right now, the Bruins have $19 million in cap space for next season, with the cap staying the same, but many analysts think the cap will go up. I think so as well. It's gone up last year, and it looks to be going up next year. They have 6 players who are UFA at the end of the season, and one of those is Brad Marchand, and another is Justin Brazeau. Justin Brazeau is currently doing what a lot of us thought Trent Frederic was going to do this season, and that was solidify himself in a top 6 role. It was Justin Brazeau who did that instead, and I'm sure the Bruins want to sign him at the end of the season. Justin Brazeau has 6 goals and 7 assists for 13 points this season and is a -3 and has been very impactful in games. I think we can all agree that the Boston Bruins should re-sign Justin Brazeau, but I have a feeling I don't get a consensus with regards to Trent Frederic. That is why I think you look for a hockey trade with regards to Trent Frederic and see if you can improve the hockey club. You're not looking for picks or prospects in any of the deals involving Frederic unless the Bruins bottom out and will 100% not make the playoffs. And a hockey trade doesn't mean you necessarily have to deal with teams that are already on the outside looking in with regards to the playoffs this year. I'm positive there's a bunch of teams that are most likely making the playoffs this season that think they need what Trent Frederic brings and can get more out of him than the Bruins have. I also think they probably have players that they think are not getting enough and they can trade them somewhere and that other team can get more out of them. We see this all the time and it's usually the Bruins making the trade, like when they traded Heinen to Anaheim for Nick Ritchie. Before someone suggested in the comments, I want to get this clear. The New York Rangers are not trading Chris Kreider for Trent Frederic. You would have to add a heck of a lot more to make that deal happen, which would create a hole that the Bruins would need to fill right after. The Bruins, though, could look at a guy on the Rangers like Kaapo Kakko, who many have suggested is available in a trade. Kakko is a former number 2 pick overall with the Rangers and has struggled to say the least in their organization compared to what people thought he would be. He scored 18 goals in 22-23, but hasn't come close since he's consistently played by injuries. He could be a hope and a prayer type trade, but Kakko already has 4 goals and 9 assists on the season, so maybe a change of scenery would be nice for him. He's been healthy so far this season, and the Rangers are looking to shake things up. He isn't exactly who I'd want the Bruins to trade for, but he's a name being thrown out there. He's an RFA at the end of the season and is currently only making $2.4 million. So if it was a 1-for-1, both parties could make it work. A team that gets thrown around a lot is the Montreal Canadiens, and the name that keeps coming back is Kirby Dach, a player that has struggled to find his game in Montreal and also has been plagued by injuries. In 26 games this season, he has 1 goal and 7 assists and is minus 21. But the Canadiens stink more than the Bruins in their first 20 games this year. Again, this would be taking a flyer on a guy, and I think it's the wrong move. Don't get me wrong, Dach has a ton of potential. But at this point, people have been saying this for years, and nothing has really been shown except for a 14-goal season in 22-23. Right now, these are some of the names being thrown around. And if you've asked me, there is no urgency if this is what you're getting back. There's going to be a lot of separation in the standings over the next couple months, and teams are going to be willing to offer more with regards to assets to fill their needs. Good news is the Bruins are in no hurry because they got their change up and are playing better hockey. But I do think the Bruins are open to moving Frederic and listening to offer. Do I think it's the right move to trade him? I do if it's a hockey trade, or if as an organization you don't see him in the future. Personally thought the Bruins reached when they selected him in the first round in 2016, but that's a very typical Boston Bruins, and as fans, we should be used to it by now. I want to hear some names from you, though, on a hockey trade that would work with regards to cap and would fill a need for the Boston Bruins. That's a wrap on today's video. To stay up to date on all the news surrounding the Boston Bruins, please subscribe and drop me a like. If news breaks surrounding the Boston Bruins, be sure to check out the channel. If you've already subscribed to the channel, thank you, and I'll see you next time.